So John was caught stealing narcotics from his job. He was sentenced and fled to Michigan, where he stole more narcotics. He overdosed in a hotel. He was placed in an ambulance. He fled in the ambulance. A police chase ensued. He got on an elevator shaft. During that time, kicked a cop in the head. So he was sentenced to 17 to 60 months in a Michigan state prison.
Well, Tanya is the first wife of the infamous con artist, Dirty John Meehan. She now has a podcast, The First Wife, John Meehan's Reign of Terror. She's here today to share for the first time unspoken details of her 10-year marriage to this man.
After our divorce, I kept finding out more and more and more things about the man I was married to. And I said, there's a piece to this puzzle missing. And that's when I got the courage to find his family and call his mother. And I said, well, my name's Tanya. I'm married to your son, John. And there was a long pause. She said, oh, Tanya, I knew you would call me one day. And she was not shy in telling me the life her son had led, that he had been faking being a doctor, that he'd been conning women to get them to do what he wanted them to do. John had been having an affair, and they did have a child together. So my daughters do have a younger sibling. I learned that John had been living under an alias, that he'd changed his birth date. I decided to search his office, and I got up on a chair, and way up high, way in the back, was a box full of narcotics. I learned through the Dirty John podcast that his sister felt that he may have played a role in the early demise of their sick father.
John, how do you feel this evening?
Those are years stolen from me that I will never get back. I have two beautiful children, and so I can't even say I want to take it back because I wouldn't have them, without him. But it's still very hard.
Yeah, that is really interesting to think about spending 10 years with him. I want to welcome someone else to the show, Laura Richards, a criminal behavior analyst and executive producer of the podcast on Audible. Laura, it's good to see you.
Hi, Dr. Phil.
In putting this together, you really got deep into this, and you looked at some of the differences between the 10 years that Tanya spent and Deborah. And she spent 10 years. What was the main difference you saw here between the two?
Well, I think with Tanya, he was still perfecting his tradecraft. That's what I call it.
Right.
Picking a particular victim, which is what a skilled offender does. And 10 years, it's a long time to be with someone, although he spent quite a lot of time away from Tanya. Whereas with Deborah, he knew exactly what he was going after. He went to a target-rich environment, that's what we'd call it, Newport Beach. And Deborah came along, and she ticked every box, much like Tanya did, but he knew everything of what to say to love bomb Deborah very quickly. And so that relationship moved much quicker. And Deborah really didn't understand who he was. I think his levels of manipulation, and people say he's a con artist, actually he's a psychopath and very good at reading people.
How did you first learn that something was really wrong here? Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.